Guys, welcome back to another Saturday live chat. I am joined today by a friend of mine called Reid. He is an autistic YouTuber, podcaster, kind of just an all-around startup social media guy, and straight up dude. So we're gonna dive into it. Reid, how's it going?
It's going great, Dan. How you doing?
Man, I'm okay. It's hot. It's hot weather here, man. It's like I feel like I'm melting a little bit, because the weather is so hot.
Yeah, I feel you. We get our temperatures have skyrocketed up to the 80s and the 90s, so it's hot. When it gets hot here, it's like hot out there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. What part of the states are you in?
I'm in Chicago,
Chicago. Yeah, it gets really hot.
Illinois.
I got
Yeah.
a friend of mine lives in Bloomington, is it in Illinois?
hmm
So it's not far,
Yeah,
two
it's in
hours.
Illinois.
Yeah, it's but 2 hours away from where you are, right?
Yeah, I believe so. About two to 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah. So he flies out of O'Hare when he comes home. But he's from here, he's from my hometown. But he married his wife, and she's from Bloomington. So yeah, it's a cool place. So Reid, tell us a bit about yourself. Tell my audience what you do and what's up. Are you diagnosed? What diagnoses you have? Like, give us a lowdown. Who are you?
Well, my name is Reid Miles. I am a autistic blogger, podcaster, YouTuber, just like you. My diagnosis is a little different than everyone else's. When I got diagnosed, it wasn't for autism, it wasn't for ADHD, it was just for learning disabilities. We knew nothing about ASD back then. So they just said you have a learning disability.
Wow.
So, and for ADHD, they put me on ADHD medicine before we even knew it was ADHD.
Wow.
I was put on Silert at a young age.
Okay, and what is silent then? What is it for anybody who doesn't know? Because I am in the UK, we have
Silert,
different medicine.
all right, Silert is like think Adderall.
So it's an amphetamine.
Yeah, it's an amphetamine. Yeah, it's like what I'm on now, which is Adderall. And then about halfway through my teens, I got taken off by my parents and my doctor at the time because it was said that that it would cause lasting problems with your liver. And my
Oh,
parents
okay.
wanted me off of it. And
Okay.
then they tried to put me on Stratera. Didn't work. It's like night and day. When you don't have when you're used to a stimulant,
Yeah.
and then you're not, and then you go on non-stimulant, you don't get that big jump.
Mm,
You
mm,
don't feel awake.
mm,
And I
mm.
just felt like a zombie when I was on it. So I
Yeah.
took myself off of it.
So what meds do you take now? What's the current? What are you taking?
I am on just Adderall and only 2.5 milligrams because anything stronger just makes my heart feel like I ran a race.
Oh, okay. Wow. Adderall is probably one of the most popular drugs for our conditions. I take something different to that. I take like is an SSLI inhibitor or something, or a suppressor. I'm not entirely sure. It's called duloxetine. So basically, a lot of people use it as an antidepressant, but I use it as it's a mood stabilizer, and it's
Mhm.
a calming because of an antidepressant kind of properties. It helps with my ADHD because it helps me focus a little bit more. But I'm also
Mhm.
taking Brilia. And Brilia is a like a homeopathic kind of. I know a lot of people kind of like have issues with homeopathic medicines and stuff, but I always like to try anything. And really, it seems to be okay. It helps me focus, even if it's like placebo. At least it helps. You know what I mean?
Is that the medicine I saw you like ever talking about in your Facebook or your
Yeah,
Instagram?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
I,
brilliant. I really enjoy it. I think it's great, and the company's got really good values. This company's been around for a very long time, so I really like them. So I'm always gonna recommend it if I'm using it, and the opportunity comes up for me to mention it, I will because I think like there's a lot of people who could really do with it, and I think that it can work. So.
yeah, I mentioned that to my friend because he got taken off of Adderall
Okay.
because he's got POTS.
Oh, okay.
And the doctor says we can't put you on any stimulant or any non-stimulant because it affects your heart. So I'm like, why don't you try this? Look into it. When you get money, see if it helps.
Sure, sure. Hey, do you know what? Maybe it'll help. So, let me know what kind of content do you put out and how regular do you put content out?
Um, I talk with experts in the field. I mean, almost like you and almost like Jeff, but I search out different type of experts who have dealt with people from anything from sleep to meditation to vets who know dogs and pets because I
Mm.
know how pets, like you should know, pets are very crucial to those of us on the spectrum.
Oh, of course, I'm looking at my dog right now.
So I talk to the experts and I get their views of everything.
Sure. And so,
And
how?
usually
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, how often do you put content out now?
I try to put it I try to have content out every Wednesday.
Okay, cool. I would advise you
And
to try and put content out every Thursday.
every Thursday, okay.
Thursday's the better day.
All right, Thursday it is then. Okay, shut up.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I also have three different podcasts I put up. So
Oh my
I
goodness.
have the main, yeah, I have the main show. I have one called The Reading Room, which is 10 to 15 minutes, and I talk about topics I'm comfortable with, I know. And then I have one I just created called Stories,
Yeah.
which I let people tell their stories about who they are, how they, who they are, just let them tell their story. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I ask them
definitely.
questions. It's sort of like inside the actor's studio.
Well, that's good. No, I like it. I like that's kind of like what I'm doing with like my podcast, vidcast, like this one. Giving people a bit of air to talk and stuff, and it's just super interesting. Thanks for sharing that with us, and I'll share all your links as well. So anybody wants to catch Reid's stuff, super interesting. He's really awesome. We did a show together as well a few months ago. So if anybody wants to check out Reid's stuff, I'm gonna leave links in the descriptions of these videos. So yeah, definitely check it out, and also on the show notes of this podcast. Now. Reid, here's a question. What was it like growing up? What was school like growing up for you?
School was tough. The best example I can tell you is when I was in school, I'm talking high school now, my teachers would come to my parents and say, he can't focus in any class. He
Mm,
was he couldn't sit still, he was fidgety,
mm.
except for one class, and that was my general science class. And what's funny about that is I remember his name, and I remember the saying he used to always ingrain into our heads is if you don't know what you don't know anything at all. So I was very fidgety. I couldn't focus. I couldn't even take notes. I had a history class where we had to take notes from films, and I couldn't even comprehend what was important and what wasn't. I had to borrow notes from someone else. So
Mm.
high school life was tough for me.
What about college? Did you go to college or?
Yes, I have two degrees actually. I have a master's and a bachelor's. College, I did my bachelor's online,
Okay.
and I didn't have to study because everything was point based. And my master's, I went to your country. I went to the UK for in Canterbury,
Oh no, country. Yeah. What did you do as
and
the subject?
I got a degree in advanced computer science and computational intelligence.
Ah, that's excellent.
And I thought I was having sleep issues until one day I was talking with a friend when I was back home, and he's like, "Dude, that's not sleep issues. What you're feeling every morning is your sensory overload. You're just getting too much information coming at you, too many smells. You're not used to your environment, and you're just feeling exhausted."
Hmm.
And it would be like Friday night, my body would just crash.
Holy smokes! And is that because of the university, or is it because of like coming back home from being in the UK?
It was both. It was when I was at the university, it was just so much information coming at me from the classes, and I was only taking the master load. I wasn't like taking more, but it was just so much on me. And then when I came back home, it's like my stress levels went up more than when I was there. They were cut in half.
It's fascinating, really. How did you manage, being halfway across the world, away from home, doing your degree? Because I can barely go to the next city next to my where I live, without on my own. I can't do that. It's very difficult for me to do those things. So how did you get halfway across the world on your own?
It was troubling. I mean, the best story I can tell you is when I first got there, when I first left,
Hmm.
me and my parents went to the airport. And this is right after 9/11 had hit and everything. And we get to the airport and we're about to go to the gate. We meet some guy at the desk and he's like, "Oh, you're only allowed one parent at the departure."
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to convince this guy, listen, let my both parents go. I have Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
I need support. And the guy just wouldn't budge because of this whole security issues.
Mm.
I literally broke down into tears, into a full on meltdown, crying. And excuse me. And it was this all the stimulation, all the noise, everything just coming at me at once. And I didn't know what was happening. And finally, my father said, "No, your mother will go with you. I'll wait." The guy was nice enough to tell us there was a clear glass border
Mm-hmm.
between the gate and where he could sit, where he can watch me. And as the boarding call happened, it was just like a switch turned on and I calmed down.
That's interesting.
But school was tough because I had to focus. I wasn't on any medicine.
Oh God.
I had to focus on my courses,
Mm.
and it was tough. I mean, certain teachers were okay with the helping me out, and certain teachers weren't. So it was kind of a balancing act to try to understand my material and learn how to live a life halfway across the sea.
What was it like trying to make friends here in the UK?
It was kind of easy for me. I'm a very outgoing person, so I joined a couple of societies.
Okay,
I joined the Harry Potter Society. I
good
joined
man.
a video game society, and the majority of my friends came from the Harry Potter Society. And I talked to and even a couple of the master students who I was in the college, living in the college with, in my suite. I became friends with, and I still am friends with them to this day.
Oh, that's good. So it wasn't like so it was a different experience then because I went to college here in the UK obviously, and I did my bachelor's in chemistry and whilst doing that, it was really difficult and the city that I go to well the city I went to do my degree. It was only about 20 miles away from where I live, so I was able to drive there and back. But it was still very difficult. It was very difficult to be in the classes. It was very difficult, even coming home and and being around people who I didn't know, and people trying to do this, that, and the other, like invite you to this fraternity or whatever. And what I did is I kind of just like I segregated myself away from all those people,
Mm.
which I found was the safest option because it allowed me to focus on university when I was there, but then also I was able to come home and have like my normal life at home. You know what I mean? So, but it must be so difficult for you to be in a completely different countries. You kind of rely on having those relationships with other people when you're in different countries to kind of make you feel like the new home, right? Otherwise, it's just like
Yeah, that was a big thing. Was I had to learn to adapt, and for someone on the spectrum, that's hard
mm,
because I had to depend on others. I had to depend on my disability advisor to get me through everything. Thank God for that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I kept my friends solid, and I knew I did not want to alienate anybody because, as a friend of mine told me, us Aspies cling on to our friends.
Yeah.
We don't want to let them go.
Yeah, and like friends are super important, right? And I guess that was probably one of the most important parts of your journey over here.
It was because once I had friends, I knew I can let go a little bit. I can relax.
Mm.
And my societies were my way of just letting go. And one of the best stories was after we were given our pre midterms or whatever. I forget what you guys call them when halfway through and they show you what you're gonna have.
Yeah, I can't remember what
I
it's
kind of
called.
freaked out. I kind of freaked out because I'm like, I don't understand any of this. And I'm sitting there in my dorm and I'm like texting my friend. I'm like, I'm pulling my hair out just trying to figure this out. I don't understand any of this. She's like, just put your pencil down, turn off your computer, and come to the meeting.
Mm.
I did that, went to the meeting, and everything just fell into place, and we became like the best of friends.
Dude, that's fire, man. That's fire. I like it. So how old are you now then, Reid, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 50 in April.
Holy smokes, you're 50.
Yeah.
Dude, you look my age or even younger than me.
Oh, thanks, Dan.
No, you're welcome, man. Well, I literally just turned 35 last Thursday. So like oh my goodness, I thought you were like my age, dude. Jeez. Wow, you're looking
No,
good.
no. I
Looking good,
wish I
buddy.
was your age. I wish I was your age
Why? Why'd you wish you were my age?
because I wouldn't have to worry about half the shit I have to worry about now. I like being in my 30s. It was more easier to get through life.
Yeah, but everybody says that every stage of life, didn't they? I bet when you were in your 30s, you said, oh, I wish I was in my 20s.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. I mean, being on the spectrum, as you know, is hard, especially when you're trying to monitor your filter at all times.
Yeah, 100%, of course. And it does get more challenging as you get older. And I said this before, like when you're a kid, it's super challenging. When you're a teenager, it's okay. When you're a mid kind of adult, it's okay. You kind of have these things where you don't have loads of big responsibilities, where you don't have restrictions like school. So you're able to find yourself a little bit. But then the older you get, when you have more responsibilities and things, and then when you come into adulthood and stuff, then it becomes a bit more of a task and it carries on going that way. It's a really interesting experience, actually. But that's another conversation. Reid, look, so I don't want to bore my audience too long with me talking about different things. I would just like to ask you a question. The final question for you is, if you could go back and tell your younger self anything about your condition now, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell him, listen, things will be all right. Don't panic. And just remember, you are unique.
Mm.
Accept it and embrace it.
100%, bro. I totally agree. So where can people find you online? How do people get you?
They can go to my blog at aspergerstudio.com, or they can go over to podbean.com and check and just type in inside the Asperger Studio and find my podcast right there.
Awesome. Dude, it's amazing. I am super happy we got to do this. It's been on the cards for a while, but I've been stupidly busy, and I do apologize it's taking this long. Reid, it's been amazing. I would love to do something like maybe an Instagram live or something with you sometime soon, so everyone stay kind of
No
tuned for
problem.
that. It's been amazing. Right, Reid, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Dan.